What's up guys, Chris here again. Today I'm going to be doing a quick overview of the stock A1A Arms blowback nozzle and the valves and the piston head in comparison to the Guarder nozzle with the rocket valve and piston head. This will also be in relation to the two different gas rod rubbers on the magazine. So, first of all, I've noticed something kind of strange in the A1A Arms nozzle. It doesn't really show that well from here, but if you can see this part right here that you can see in the nozzle window where the gas comes through, that is actually the front end lip of the piston head peeking out. So I'm thinking, if you have gas coming through here from the magazine, and it's supposed to be initially be directed out through here to get the BB fired, and then close up the rocket valve, and then be directed sort of to fill this chamber and initiate the blowback reaction. However, if the edge of the piston head is sitting like this, and the piston head is actually slanted a little bit downward to the back, I'm thinking what might happen is when gas comes rushing through here, you're going to get some sort of double pressure effect where some of the gas might slip behind the piston head into this space, and some of the gas will go forward here. So that might explain some of the firing issues that people have been having with the A1A Arms nozzle. Now, I'm not really, I know quite a bit about gas guns, but I'm not too familiar with physics and what's it called, thermodynamics or whatever. But this kind of looks like a flaw to me. I've compared it to, I think, two other pistols, and on none of those does the piston head peek out into this gas window. Actually, on my on my M&P, the piston head is pretty much to the equivalent of sitting all the way back here in this edge. So it would be, let's see if we can simulate it. So the piston would be sitting like this instead. So I'm thinking I'm not really sure what's going on here, but it feels like they got the spacing wrong, because I can't imagine that it's correct for the piston head to be peeking out into the gas flow window here. So at a minimum, it should be covered, and preferably possibly like 1 or 2 millimeters back. So if you have the stock A1A Arms blowback unit and nozzle, you can actually take this piston head rod off. You unscrew this hex screw at the back. This comes off, and what you could do, if you want to experiment, you could shorten this down, the piston head shaft or what have you, so that the piston head moves back and is not peeking out into the nozzle window. However, probably the easier solution would be to get a Guarder enhanced loading nozzle for the Guarder Glock 18C. I have the Guarder Glock 18C nozzle set, and I have the Guarder Glock 18C piston head. So let's go ahead and switch these out. Let's pop this off. And one thing I noticed right away is that the original A1A Arms piston head is a very soft, almost silicone material, whereas the Guarder one is almost like more hard plastic. Let's put the original piston head back in, because if you have that in place and you put the Guarder nozzle in, it's a really nice tight fit. So I'm probably going to be experimenting with both the stock piston head, which I feel might be superior, and also the Guarder piston head. But what's interesting here to note is this is the Guarder nozzle, Guarder rocket valve, stock piston head, this piece right here. Push the nozzle all the way back, and what do you know? The piston head is not peeking out. So let's see if I can, if I hold my fingernail right there and pull the nozzle off, you can see that it's pretty much dead on in alignment. So the nozzle, or sorry, the piston head is right under this edge, but it's not peeking out like it did with the original nozzle, like so. So I'm not sure if we can compare the two. It's kind of hard to get them lined up, but you can see that it does look like the Guarder piston, or I'm sorry, the Guarder nozzle has the gas route window a little bit more forward, and actually looks almost a little bit smaller, doesn't it? That looks a little bit bigger. But and also what's funny is that if you look in the original nozzle, what you see in here is the floating valve sticking out. And if you compare it to what the Guarder floating valve looks like, the Guarder floating valve is sitting further in the window. You can see that piece right there is the same that we have right there. So I'm not really sure how this is all going to work out, but I think it's an interesting experiment, because like I said, I got with the stock setup here, after I fixed the stock, I'm sorry, the stuck floating valve, I got 265 FPS, which is, you know, not really that impressive in my opinion. So I want to push this up to around, let's see, does that not fit on there? But I want to try pushing it up to about 300, you know. Wow, okay, you can definitely tell that the Guarder piston head is stiffer. It's a little bit of a challenge to get on there. So there we have it installed. Well, let's see what the nozzle feels like when it's going over here. Okay, so the initial going on the piston head is a little bit, there's a little bit of a sticking situation, but once it's on, it feels good, like it's a nice tight seal. So I'm thinking this should do pretty well for us. Like I mentioned in my other unboxing videos, I also have this ESD rocket valve. It's sort of an alternative design that I'm going to try to drop in this the Guarder nozzle setup just to see what happens. And I also have the A+ technical knockout system upgrade blah blah kit for the WE Glock series. So I'm going to be experimenting with those to see which one gives me the best output, and also in having, you know, knowing that the Guarder setup works in here. If I need to do any mods to change the FPS or whatever, I don't have to be afraid of busting up the original nozzle, so I can just do whatever. And if something breaks or doesn't work out, you know, worst case scenario, I'll have to buy a new one of these. So let's see what it looks like. So that's what the alignment looks like from the top. You can see that this edge is just covered by this. Let's see what the original looks like. It looks like that's actually sticking out a little bit. It's kind of hard to hold these in place, but you can tell that there's, I mean, these are reversed upside down, but you can tell right there where my finger is behind that there's a little bit of a difference in length. And also, like I mentioned here a couple of times, the original Ace1 Arms nozzle has the flat gas rod rubber interface, no curvature, and that's matching the stock WE gas rod rubber, whereas the Guarder nozzle has the slight curve. Let's see, I think we can get it on that angle. You can see that it's a little bit curved, which again matches the, of course, Guarder magazine gas rod rubber. So with the Guarder magazine, the Guarder nozzle, I should be getting a what's it called? A compatible setup. Just so you know that the gas rod rubber and the nozzle are in sync, so to speak. So and also, if you recall, I was talking about, I'm not really sure if I have those here, but the hex head screws for installation of the RMR sight, the ones that go on here into the slide, the included hex head screws for Ace1 Arms are too long, at least on the left hand side. You can actually see here where I tried to tighten down the screw and it literally bit into the blowback unit housing, and it caused the blowback unit to be pushed down into the slide, and I got some sort of jamming problems when moving the slide back and forth. So do not use the included hex head screws. I'll put a link in the, or I'll put information in the annotation right here somewhere, and I'll also put in the description what kind of screws you need to get if you want to have the hex head screws instead. So yeah, that's just a quick info video on the nozzle situation here, and I'm really interested to see what kind of performance and FPS I'll get just with the stock Guarder setup here that we've installed. So I'll test that out, and I'll get back to you guys and let you know. And then of course, moving on, I'll be testing out these two products as well and see how they compare. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys next time.